All right. We are live.
Yeah.
Give it 60 seconds for people. Wish I had a stopwatch. That'd be nice.
I have a clock. Do you not have a clock? There's a timer up here.
It's okay. We can do it here.
Can you hear me?
I can. Can you hear me?
Okay, yeah, I can. Mm-hmm.
All right. In those 60 seconds, let everyone jump in. This will be recorded. All right. You guys still having that heat wave in Kansas?
Oh wait,
Yeah.
we're officially down off of 107 to a whopping 100 degrees today. So
4 degrees can be a difference.
it's a huge difference. Yeah.
All right. And we will begin. Welcome everybody to Machine Learning and Healthcare Marketing. I am joined with Jessica Flax, the Director of Marketing and Foundation from Hutchinson Regional Medical. I'm Keegan Ewell. I'm with the Social Climb team here. We've got a Kansas girl who's real smart with marketing. We're excited to talk about this. And just in case for anyone in the audience, we will record this and send it off if you do have to jump. We appreciate everyone being here. But let's dive in.
Let's do it.
Okay. First question is, I love this answer. I've heard this before and I love this. How'd you get into healthcare marketing?
Yeah. Well, I got into it by accident. I wasn't looking at all. And I'm a big believer in exploring opportunities. I had a family friend mention it to me who works at Hutch Regional. And like I said, I really wasn't looking. And after my first interview, I was sold. I realized that this job and this organization aligned so much with who I am as a person, and that it was a place where I felt like I could make a difference. And so I fell into healthcare marketing.
Was it mission driven that sold you? Was it the people that sold? I'm sure it was obviously like an aggregate of all those factors, but
Yeah.
A lot of people don't come into healthcare marketing from outside of healthcare. Although it's becoming more popular. I'm seeing
I highly recommend it. The team that I have grown, none of them have healthcare experience. So it's almost like a trick. You actually don't know what you're getting into.
Yeah.
Fair. But it's a core value for me to, this sounds silly, but just to put good back into the world. Yeah. And there's so much good that I get to do from a community standpoint, but also just in helping the health of our community in our area. I don't know that anything gets much better than that. Like when you can say I make a difference in people's lives, and I believe in what I do and who I represent, man, that makes the job a whole lot more fun. So definitely mission. The people are fantastic. If you are on here and from the area, we have been through a lot in the last 2 years, but I think you only appreciate people more when you've been in the trenches with them, and know what they're like in the trenches. And then to see them on the other side, we have a lot of exciting things ahead of us. So yeah.
I've had the pleasure of meeting a couple of your team members, and shout out Courtney. Courtney's awesome. We love Courtney.
Courtney's awesome.
Okay. So obviously given your background, what are some of the concepts from your prior life that you feel maybe are underused, underutilized, underappreciated, or what have you in the healthcare space?
Yeah, this is where, again, you come in and not healthcare. And I have to be super careful. So if anybody on the coast is watching, I am from Kansas, and Kansas tends to be a little conservative. We're on the cutting edge of very little. So I say that to go, I think a lot of things, a lot of marketing concepts are underutilized. I think a lot of healthcare is still grasping with the fact that we are consumer driven now. It's not about us, it's about them, and they have a choice. And so the idea that, I have this big pretty shiny building and I'm a hospital and I'm the closest hospital, so they're going to come to me. That doesn't really exist anymore. So gently, I would say a lot. Specifically, I would say analytics and the use of data, and understanding how to target market to places. I'm probably going to jump around here. We've overhauled a system in the last 13 months that did branding really, really well, but didn't really have a lot of strategy, didn't really have a lot of goals. And I fully believe that part of my job as being a marketing director is helping our organization and our service lines grow. And you really can only do that by understanding your data. And that's both your internal data and understanding where people are at that need the services you offer. So there's this lovely little thing called HIPAA, and HIPAA doesn't like us to be able to target audiences or find out where our customers are coming from. But I would say one of the things in the last year that we've worked, obviously Keegan and I have worked together, and we partner with Social Climb. Their predictive analysis piece is one, HIPAA compliant, and two, it is a combination of taking my internal data of having the patients that I have and utilizing you guys' piece that says, oh, here are more patients with services or with the need of the services you offer in these locations. And it helps me to be able to target directly to them.
Right.
So that's what I mean by using analytics.
Yeah.
If I could just tell marketers in healthcare, like, don't be scared of the data. Like, it is your friend, use the data.
Yeah.
There would be so much more that I think everybody could do. The other piece that I think is incredibly underutilized is just the simple concept that people are using Google. I almost feel like Google's a cuss word in healthcare. Like, when I stepped into it, everybody's like, oh no, don't touch Google. We don't do anything with Google. I'm like, guys, you can't beat Google. Like, you have to partner with them.
Yeah.
So one of the things that we understand in healthcare is that the acquisition and retention of patients is heavily influenced by referrals. Well, if you're new to a community or you don't know what services are offered in said clinic or hospital or whatever, you're going to go to Google and you're going to ask Google. Like, Google is your new friend. It is your new family member. And online reputation is a huge factor in healthcare. It's not I'm going to use Courtney. So if Courtney's watching, I love you, Courtney. This is always my example. Courtney moved into this community 2 years ago, had no family members, obviously had friends, but joined Facebook mom groups and Google providers. And she's like, I looked at the reputation. She said, I want to know what people are saying about these doctors. Not what my mom and dad think about them from 10 years ago, but what's actually happening today.
Yeah.
So having an online presence that is talking for you 24/7, which is also your website, I just wish healthcare marketers or just the industry just embrace Google, embrace online reputation, embrace the fact that it is for you and not against you.
Yeah.
I can get really long-winded. I mean, I could keep going, but if I have to, it really, you summarize it with Google, but it is really analytics and online reputation.
Yeah. I think you've kind of hit the nail on the head. Obviously, when you're talking about a true marketing strategy, you need to be able to, we talk about it a lot here at Social Climb, but capture patients where they are, AKA the Google side of what you're doing. And then you have to create the demand, right? And you're creating the demand using something like machine learning or our predictive targeting, same. Mm-hmm. And being able to continuously put your services in front of people who, their likeliest to need your type of care. They may not be ready, right?
Yeah.
They may not even be aware that they are falling into this category. But the more you can continue to put your services in front of them, the more that when that time comes, there's no more guessing. They're going to think of you. So, yeah. Which leads me to a good question. How would you describe machine learning?
So I'm glad you asked, because I had several people ask me, like, what does that mean? Yeah. And I will say I didn't even realize it was like the buzzword for digital marketing now. So
AI, machine learning, it's all in our world.
It sounds like big, well, I always call it Big Brother. I tried no matter the industry, and I have had the privilege of working with a lot of industries, no matter the industry, there is always a level of uncertainty or hesitancy when you talk about utilizing machines, aka platforms that gather information. We have in our culture looked at machine marketing. I will get to the description, don't worry, I won't forget. We have looked at machine marketing and have gone, oh, that's a bad thing. Because people have used it in a bad way. Machine marketing or machine learning is really the use of digital outlets that are gathering information on how you engage, interact, convert, communicate with your audience and how they communicate and engage back with you. It is truly learning, what's what I'm looking for? Behaviors of people, okay? It is everywhere. It's what we don't like sometimes about Facebook. Okay, well, you tell them what you care about, so they want to give you more of it. Like, Heather, I don't know if this is you, but I would probably say at some point in time, I'm going to guess yours is baseball. Like, you get on TikTok and you like just stream and stream and stream of the same topic over and
over.
over.
A million golf videos.
Exactly.
Over and over
Right?
and over again. Yep.
That's because you tell them this is what you like, so they feed you more of what you like.
Yeah.
Like, that's machine learning. It is, we associate it with such a bad concept, but in reality, like as a marketer, for me, I have the ability to give you information that you tell me you care about. Like, that is a massive positive instead of just going, oh, I'm just going to toss this out there and let's just see what happens.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Machine marketing and machine learning goes, okay, well, you've told me through, we're just going to use your predictive analysis, through this piece in this area that you care about this service line, and I want to help you know that we offer we offer what it is that you need. Like, I'm giving you the information you say that you want. Like, it has such a scary concept to it, but in all reality, when used correctly, it has actually a really great thing.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like it gets that reputation. It gets the bad reputation.
It definitely has a fear attached to it.
Yeah.
And rightfully so, right? I mean, the healthcare industry obviously is very protective of HIPAA and PHI, and you can't do this. You know, they took away Google Analytics, they took away pixel tracking. I mean, it's a challenge. And so it's not that it's hard to comprehend where the fear comes from.
Yeah.
But in its simplest form, it's feeding data that exists. And most of that's just publicly available information, and identifying people that fit the mold for specific types of care. That's obviously specific to like our predictive retargeting, but in general, that's kind of true of all machine learning. Of you feed something information and you learn from it. And the more it's used, the more it's trained on itself. And all of a sudden you can have more predictable outcomes, which thus means a healthcare marketer can be more strategic. And obviously we've seen some of yours. You do a great job of speaking to what you're going after, right?
Yeah.
Instead of just, we're Hutchinson, here we are. It's like, okay, that's kind of a spray and pray methodology, right? That's the traditional way of doing it, right? Rather than, hey, we have the best primary care docs. We got this service, et cetera, et cetera. So, which kind of leads me into like a pretty good question is, okay, let's say you do already have your ideal patient kind of identified or defined. Like, hey, this is what we need to backfill calendars, or we have a new provider, or we're trying to increase here. How do you use something to, or how do you use the machine learning to market to those people?
Yeah. So just I'll just be super transparent because that's how I am. When I worked on thinking about this question, I will tell you that our ideal candidate right now at Hutch Regional is a 38-year-old female. Like, I can get that specific.
Yeah.
That's powerful to know that I know who I'm targeting and what age, and that is because of machine learning. So that's a very, very specific answer to you. What is your ideal patient? In preparing for this conversation, obviously I rely on the data, okay? Yeah. Like, everything I do, every decision and every strategy we make is based on data. Again, I think I've already said this, where our patients currently are, where are they currently coming from? that's because I have a great integration with our EMR. What the demographic is, so what the age and gender is, again, this is exactly how I know that it's a 38-year-old female. Like that's not who exactly my demographic is today, but that's who I'm targeting. I'll tell you why here in a second. And then with our internal data combined with a machine learning tool like Social Climb, I can then identify where I want or where more people are that have stated they need this service. Okay, so we use all of that. I then work with my team to create messaging and a visual that is pertaining to that individual and their needs. Again, I've already stated this. It's not about
targeted messaging.
It's targeted. Yeah, like I can nail down the exact specific demographic, but if it is not about them and I make it about me, I've missed the mark every single time. Like that, when we talk about healthcare being consumer driven, it is no different than why are you going to buy an Astros jersey? Like, you know what I mean? Or like, why am I going to choose? Like, it's almost no different than retail. And I'm super careful in saying that, but you still are marketing to their needs, not because I have this amazing doctor. I have this amazing doctor, but I still have to make a connection to you.
Right.
So we go through all of that to be able to come up. I really laugh, honestly, at the ideal patient, because honestly, the ideal patient is whoever I'm marketing to is the service that they need.
Yeah. And also change on a dime.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'll put this in a bigger perspective. We're getting ready for another campaign. I wasn't going to say it, but I'll just launch it out there so nobody get mad at me. OBGYN is something that we're looking at marketing. And when you talk about an ideal patient for that, you're like, oh, it's women. Okay, old school days, be like, yeah, it's women. Okay, with again, the tools that we have and the information that we can gather openly through database points, it is 18 to 65. Okay, but I still can't give the same message to an 18-year-old woman as a 65-year-old woman because they're in two different phases of life.
Right.
So then you have the ability to do split testing, and this is what I love. I should probably tell people I'm not paid by you guys to say these things. Like I genuinely.
This is not a paid advertisement, ladies and gentlemen.
You guys offer the ability to do split testing. So does Facebook, but like
I think you did that with your first campaign.
Yes, we did it with our first campaign with primary care. Like I can give the specific message that an 18 to 35-year-old woman needs, and then I can give a specific message that a 50 to 65-year-old woman needs, because it's two different things, but the same doctor can see all of them.
And it's most likely two different care types.
I mean, you're talking about mamas, you're talking about people wanting to become mamas, and then you're talking about people who I'm just like, I just need my woman exam. Like, I don't need to go through all of that stuff. Been there, done that.
Yeah.
I'm in a different stage. And so that's a really, really long way to say an ideal patient. Really just depends on, you just have to use the data to understand who you're talking to.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's good. I mean, I think obviously there's two methodologies traditionally used. You've got digital and you've got print. I never thought in my career I'd be talking about postcards again. However, we've had enough evidence at this point to suggest I don't think it is outdated. I think the omni-channel approach is best, right? Having print and digital, because you're giving kind of both your audiences the opportunity. But I think one point to make before I actually ask you this question, or at least get your thoughts on it, is it's really interesting because I'm 32, right? I've got Instagram. When I'm scrolling, I'm flooded with ads. I mean, it's every other post. So I think the challenge is the digital age finally struck. It struck healthcare a little bit later than other industries, to be fair. But the problem with everybody going digital is just that. Everybody went digital.
Yeah.
And I also use the same example of, I'm sure you remember back in the day when your mail was like fat, really big. And now it's like teeny tiny. So you now like actually hand delivering something to someone has become valuable again. That doesn't not mean I think you should only use postcards, but I think that omni-channel approach is best. But what are your thoughts on postcards?
So I remember our first conversation and you're like, oh, we do this cool thing with postcards. And I was like, I'm sorry, what?
Yep.
In my head, I was like, postcards? Postcards. And postcards work. So I have to laugh because it's when you talk about it, and now that I know I'm officially older, I am the older of this conversation here. When I started, everything, you're right, everything was a push to digital. How fast can you get on a digital platform? How many digital platforms can you use? Why are we not adding, like, everything was about like going digital. And I'm a firm believer in that you have to be present where your patients, we call them patients, where your audience is at. Okay. Healthcare is a massive industry and I have to blink it. I mean, I have to hit every stage of life.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean I hit every stage of life on every topic, on every platform, every single time.
Yeah.
Like, that is where marketers get a bad rap. That's where your audience gets frustrated. So,
and that's where budgets go awry. Let's be honest. That's where budgets go awry.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
Just blanketing and crossing your fingers, and then you've got, the CFO and the executives being like, how'd it go? And we want to be more prescriptive than that for sure.
I don't know the exact statistic, and you might be able to give me the statistic for social climb, but I know there is a trend that is reverting back to paper. Because people are tired of being tracked. Even though I just talked about how great it is for us marketers, people are tired of the algorithms or giving access to quote unquote big brother for us to learn about them.
Yeah.
The fun piece about postcards and what's now, I think, really beneficial is, one, it feels more personal.
Yep.
And two, you still have the capability to track said postcard.
Yep.
QR codes are a thing. If anything great came out of COVID, we got QR codes and they work.
Yeah.
You have QR codes and then you have call tracking. Like, it is, and I'm a small person thing. And so when you talk about a phone number and being able to get data off of a phone number, that makes postcards still almost digital. But you have sold me on the fact that print materials still matter.
I mean, I think statistically speaking, just from what we're seeing, let's say the last 12 to 18 months, postcards are outperforming display ads.
Mm-hmm.
Probably 2-1 would be a safe estimation. Granted, most of at least our users are leaning more on the postcard side of things, and they're all seeing similar and or great results that you guys have seen. And I think it's just a testament to the omni-channel approach and kind of the way that consumers, because the reality is that, like you said, right, like there's ways to track the postcard, but we also know who we sent it to. So if they ever do come in, even if it's 3 months down the road, 6 months down the road, we can attribute, hey, there was a touch to that person, that human being, that influenced them to come in and see you, right? So there's ways around it. So, which kind of is a good segue into one of our last questions, which is, how do you encourage people to get on board with this, right? Especially stakeholders and executives and whatnot. I mean, when they do get on board, obviously it's great, but it's what kind of process, or, obviously this stuff can be really unfamiliar to some people who are not marketers. What do you do? How do you do it? How do you handle that?
Well, several different ways. Us as marketers, we have to remember, even when talking to, so I work for a nonprofit, so I report to a COO.
Yeah.
And then we have a board that in essence governs our entire organization. If you are for profit, you're probably reporting to a doctor, and a doctor is making the decision. We have to remember we're the experts. I think sometimes we forget that we're the expert in this field and that it is our job to give them the best recommendation. And I can say this because I have a wonderful COO that I report to, and he has looked at me time again, and it is like well, you tell me what to do. Like, it's my job to do the research. So if I'm trying, we're just going to take social climb, for example. This will be my major plug for you guys. If you're calling somebody, answer the phone. Okay. If you have not used Social Climb, answer their phone call, because it was the best random phone call I answered. I tell this story all the time.
That's a funny story, I know.
It's a funny story. I really thought they were a social media marketing company, and so I answered the phone, and they're not.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, sidebar there. So you do your research. That is your first piece. Like I always want to be able to answer any questions in regards to HIPAA, compliance, regulatory. Did I run it by this person, or this person? So I have all of that prepared, and I have reached out or searched out partners who, one, are like-minded. Like I couldn't say enough great things about your team, because you listen to my crazy brainiac ideas, and you are innovative, and you don't always have an innovative partner in healthcare. And you don't bend the rules, but you find solutions to work within the rules. Right. So that when you can find a partner that aligns with your goals and helps you achieve them, then they're also backing you in the conversation to stakeholders. Right. So the next part I would say is invite them to the conversation early. Don't be scared. Like once you've vetted it and once you feel confident, invite them in. Let them know this is why, this is how, this is what it's going to do. This is the ROI we're going to see. This is how we grow. So a lot of my convincing of stakeholders is simply going back to what our strategic plan is and going, this is what you say we're trying to do. This is how your marketing team is going to help accomplish that. And I go back to exactly what they say. But then when you invite them to the conversation, they also feel ownership. And oh my gosh, getting COOs and CEOs involved in marketing stuff, they get excited. I mean, like, we have the fun, pretty cool things, and it's not in the weeds of the day-to-day stuff. And so if you can get them excited about it, then they're going to be way more on board. And then afterwards, obviously, also don't forget compliance. Like, your compliance people are your friends, okay? Like, they really are your friends. And if you can convince them, then I can tell you can convince anybody. But then after you convince them, go back and communicate the results. Like, I feel like that's the piece that sometimes people forget about is, oh, they got me the yes, I'm good to go. Go back and show them how great it is. Yeah. Because then when you have to go back and say, hey, I got to add 10 more doctors, or hey, I want to increase this, that's no questions. Absolutely.
Yeah, you have to build that trust for sure.
Yeah. In 8 months, when I can look up, or we started 8 months ago, right? I just say November.
Something like that. Yeah.
Something like that. Just last week, I had a conversation with my boss, and I said, in less than a year, we are now above, across the board, a 4.0 rating on online reputation management. He's like, I'm sorry, what? Like, plain and simple, it's doing the job I told you it was going to do, and we are reaping the results of it. Yep. That's a really good answer.
Yeah, no, it's a great answer. Last question before we turn it over to the group here. What's your number one tip? One, you only get to choose one.
No.
Or for someone trying to, or maybe starting a new strategy, kind of tearing everything down, starting over, what's the number one tip that you're going to tell someone when they're trying to market their hospital or health system or practice?
Can I list all of them? Okay, I'll start I'll start with my first one. And honestly, I learned this a long time ago. As much as I say about data and utilizing that, your message has to be about your end consumer. Not every place. We came in here, and I came in here, and we overhauled. And the number one thing that we consistently look at people and say is, and when I say people, internal staff, is it's not about us. It is absolutely about our patient. They come to us expecting us to solve their problem. So I'm going to go to them saying, we have the solution you're looking for, because it is about them. Yeah. I know doctors really like it to be about them. And you know what? Doctors are fantastic. And I am major kudos to everything that they do. And they are an integral part of what we do. But at the end of the day, it is about the patient. Yeah. So that's my number one thing. I'm going to say one more.
Yeah.
Outside of all of the other things I've said, have fun. Like, find humor, find joy. Healthcare doesn't have to be scary. it can be a good time. We just did a TikTok over our security officers, and we made it all about how, we just had fun with it. And like they were, anyways, it's a really long story. Like have fun. That sounds those are two very, very simple things. I could really get into the weeds. I probably should say find a reliable partner. And you should, but make it about your customer, your patient, your audience, and enjoy it. Remind your organization that even in healthcare, you can have fun. Find something.
I mean, that frames the whole beginning, right? Is if you guys aren't having fun, if you're not, making it about the patient, making it about the consumer-based patient, which is what most patients are, then nothing else really matters at that point. So I agree. Okay, so we're going to wrap this up. Just for anyone here, again, just to remind you, we will be sending out a recording. If anyone had to jump early or you want to share this with anybody else, that's great. We really appreciate everyone being here. If there's any questions before we close up, we are happy to answer them. You can also go to socialclimb.com and read some case studies. There's one on Jessica, which is awesome. So we'll kind of leave it to questions for a couple minutes, and then there's the case study link. So if there's any questions, happy to answer them from the audience.
It's always crickets.
It's always crickets.
My boss is like, who's going to be the first one that will give everybody the opportunity to go second?
I hope it's Courtney.
Is she on? I don't know.
But she's always got good questions.
Just having a conversation, yes.
Is there any software or platform you use? I'm going to guess that's for you, Jessica. Or CRM.
Oh man, that is such a great question. CRM. Okay, obviously I use Social Climb. Am I good just to say about what we use with you guys?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. That's fine.
So we utilize them for call tracking, reputation management, and predictive analysis. And they have an incredible dashboard that then reports back everything and every interaction. The predictive analysis we run in campaigns, and we combined our call tracking in with that. And so then with a CRM, I'm going to ask a little more specific questions here. Are you talking about a CRM as in like a content management, or obviously CRM would be customer relationship management? I don't use a Salesforce. We are currently looking at HubSpot, but again, that would be more of a content management system, not relationship. The great thing about Social Climb is they actually connect and integrate with our EMRs. So I really have to pause and think. I don't think I'm breaking any rules. So EMRs as in like Cerner or Athena or I don't know any of the other ones, Allscripts, which I think is Paradigm. All of those are our patient platforms that house all of our patient information. Right. But beyond that, I actually don't use a CRM. We piece it together. So I use Social Climb, and I use our EMRs, but I actually don't have any type of relation.
I'd even say CRMs are fairly uncommon in the healthcare space. Yeah. My assumption is, and based on feedback from people, they're just very expensive. And I think you can use a solution like Social Climb or others to give you the data and the reporting you need, and pull out the pieces that most people use in a CRM. But yeah, I think Jessica's pretty spot on.
We use, I guess I could just keep going there. We have different databases. So with our email database, but we don't have a centralized one. If you do, I'd be curious to know what it is. We try and keep content all streamlined. Yeah. That always seems to be the beast for us.
All right. If there are no more questions, we've gone a little bit over, so we want to be respectful of everyone's time. We appreciate it very, very much. Any questions, feel free to reach out to myself, reach out to Jessica. You can add me on LinkedIn if you'd like. Add Jessica on LinkedIn. Jessica has some awesome posts. They're really fun to look at. They're very fun. She has a lot of fun on LinkedIn. or again, the case studies here, we'll send out the recording, and we really appreciate everybody staying.
Yes. Thank you.